The trade deadline has officially come and gone. Deadline day, was it a disappointment? I don't know. Ty, let's talk about it next on the Setup Man podcast. Welcome in to a post-deadline edition of the Setup Man podcast. Quickly, before we get into all of the other stuff, for those that tuned in to our live stream Trade Deadline Palooza, you can still find it on YouTube. It was a lot of fun. It was crazy. We had 1,100 people at one point in there, which has crushed so many of our records. So sincerely to everyone that joined us, God bless you, because that was so much fun to do. The comments were awesome. The last half hour, especially when all the moves were going down, it was so much fun to do. So thank you to everyone who joined. And thank you to Kyle and producer Brian for joining as well. Let's see. Like and subscribe. You can't forget that. Like and subscribe and hit that little bell anytime we do something fun like the Trade Deadline Palooza or breakdowns. I would imagine, I don't know for sure, but I would think Kyle's got something in the chamber for some of the guys that we acquired today. And don't you worry, we will get into that. Audio only people, do us a favor. Hit that like button or the subscribe button, and leave a 5-star review. Okay. Deadline happened today. Let's recap it, shall we? Cubs acquired 4 players today. Mike Soroka from the Nationals. They got Andrew Kittredge from the Baltimore Orioles. This all happened yesterday. And then today, they got Willie Castro from the Twins and Taylor Rogers from Pittsburgh. And Rogers has actually had a very eventful 48 hours because he went from Cincinnati to Pittsburgh in the Key Brian Hayes deal and ultimately winds up with your Chicago Cubs. But, Ty, obviously the outrage online is all about the Cubs did not get that impact starting pitcher that I know you and I did how many episodes on? A lot of podcast time on an impact starting pitcher. They needed it. Ultimately, they couldn't. Jed Hoyer, obviously, afterwards, kind of the answer we were all kind of fearing, I guess is the way to go. He said the market for starting pitching was tight. And of course, everyone I know, you're going to roll your eyes. But Dana Brown for the Houston Astros, they were working on a Dylan Cease deal all day. They also kicked the tires on Sandy Alcantara. Houston did a lot today. And Dana Brown, who made a ton of trades today, said, yeah, the starting pitching prices were way too high. He was quoted. And Craig Breslow of Boston also said they tried to get a starting pitcher, and there were rumors they were going hard after Joe Ryan, but with the prices, they couldn't get anything across the finish line. And if you don't believe me from that, you want to know the starters, the quote-unquote impact starters that didn't get moved today? Zach Gallen, Edward Cabrera, Sandy Alcantara, Mackenzie Gore, Joe Ryan, Mitch Keller, Dylan Cease. And yes, there were some lower-level guys. Adrian Hauser was on the move. There were some lower-level guys. But ultimately, tied the Cubs, Mike Soroka seems to be their pitching acquisition for the rotation, and there's rumors that he might even be a swingman. So I think where I'm at, Ty, before I kick it to you, is Mike Soroka is going to get a lot of heat, and he's going to be viewed as the starting pitching addition. Ultimately, fans, let's not forget, that's not going to be his role. He's a swingman. Now you can make a very fine argument that we already have a swingman at home. His name is Colin Ray or Ben Brown, and I get it. Look, ultimately, I'm disappointed. I'm not frustrated. I get it. And now, I mean, if you want a glass half full, now if they want to go for one of those guys in December at the winter meetings, okay, maybe the Twins are a little more open. Maybe the price comes down a little bit on Joe Ryan or any of the other guys we talked about. But I don't want to make Soroka, and we're going to talk about him in depth in a second, but it's not going to be his fault. He's not the savior starting pitching acquisition. And I feel like fans are going to be like, oh, this is who we traded for? You didn't give up a ton, and that was never going to be his role. Ty, I hand the ball to you.
First off, a huge shout out to you, Brian and Kyle, for an amazing live trade deadline. I caught parts of it more towards the end due to some work commitments and stuff, and just want to give a shout out to you guys and shout out to the over 1,000 people
crazy
tuning in for that show. Just a remarkable job by you guys, but more importantly, to our fans, we want to say thank you because you're taking time out of your day to listen to what we have to say. I heard Alex called themselves buffoons. I disagree with that. You guys know what you're talking about, but I don't know, Jim. So getting into sort of the meat of it all, right? There's two sides to what I'm looking at here, and both sort of are in the same realm, right? The emotional side of me is really, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed, right?
Yeah, same here.
For the Cubs, who are going to be the biggest dealers at the deadline.
So many reports of that. So many.
Once Jed got his extension, I kind of had a little bit of fear in the back of my head of that wasn't gonna happen now because Jed's comfortable. So the emotional side of me is just that I was really looking forward to this rotation being built to run through the playoffs. And I will say that the rotation is not the worst rotation in the league. It surely is not at the top, and it does not. I just don't see it being even in the top 5, 6. I wouldn't even put it in the top 10 right now. And again, comment below if you disagree with me on that. By all means, do it.
I don't think you're going to get a lot of pushback. There are a lot of angry people out there tonight.
Really just am emotionally drained from the aspect of why couldn't we put together something that was pretty special going into the playoffs. And so that's the emotional side of me. It's just that is where I'm at. The rational side, where I look at things, I go, what in the world are the Washington Nationals, Marlins doing?
The Marlins, I have no idea. That makes no sense to me.
Marlins, you are, as it stands today, you're 7 games out of a wild card spot. If you guys think that you can get that last spot, okay, I don't.
Well, and they traded Jesus Sanchez, one of their better bats today.
So I get it. You have Kyle Stowers, Xavier Edwards, other names. But like, why? Like, if the starting price, if the price for starting pitchers was so high, and you just lowered it slightly, you still would have gotten a lot. I didn't tap any GM's phones or president of baseball operations phones. I have no idea what these asking prices are. So let's be clear that nobody knows except Mr. Hoyer, who was sitting on his seat saying the prices were too high. And now looking at the rational side of it, right? Multiple GMs now, like you mentioned, Alex, have reported that there wasn't, the prices were just astronomical. Okay, that's fine. But I want to give credit to Kyle here for what he sent to us. He sent us a list of names, right? Adrian Hauser, Charlie Morton, Merrill Kelly, right? Whatever that cost was, if that involved Moises Ballesteros or knowing Casey,
take a flying leap, yeah.
Like, what? Like, wait. That's not how the market works, homie. But
no.
Look, I wanted to look at the rational side of it. So let's look at the starting rotations of the teams that they're going to potentially face in the playoffs. Okay. Reds, Nick Lodolo, Andrew Abbott, Brady Singer, Zach Littell, and Chase Burns. Better than the Cubs.
Pretty good.
Okay. The Dodgers, which is an IL masterclass, Yamamoto, Glasnow, Kershaw, Ohtani, and then Blake Snell. Better than the Cubs.
Pretty good.
Brewers, don't even have to talk about it. Better than the Cubs.
We just witnessed it, yeah.
Mets, Sean Manaea, Clay Holmes, David Peterson, Kodai Senga, Frankie Montas. I'm taking their rotation. Sorry. If you disagree, comment below. Throw us a like, too. Maybe 1 or 2. Okay. Phillies, Zach Wheeler, Christopher Sanchez, Jesus Luzardo, Taijuan Walker, Ranger Suarez. The Padres, who I don't know what in the world AJ Preller is smoking, but whew, my Lord. Yu Darvish, Nick Pivetta, Randy Vasquez, Dylan Cease, and who they just recently added, JP Sears. And then the Giants, Logan Webb, Robin Ray, Carson Winston-Hunt, Justin Verlander. I know Landon Roop is in that class as well. He just was injured. So we don't have a better starting rotation than any teams that we're going into the playoffs against. And I wouldn't say that we even have a top 3 in a 3-game series. So that is my biggest fear in all of this, is that we don't have the starting pitching to not even make it through a wild card at this point, and then let alone a divisional series. Now, if the offense takes off, which, we'll talk about Willie Castro, talk about some other names, we saw what it can do. Finally get to Freddie Peralta, blow him out. You win the game, whatever it was, 11 to 12 to 3 or something, 11 to 12 to 3. So there is that side of it, but in playoff baseball, you're going to be facing the best of the best.
You're not wrong. It really feels like they're betting on the offense, which, I mean, let's be honest. They've had a rough July, but they're still one of the top scoring teams in the sport. So I get why they're making that bet. But even you were talking about starting pitching prices for some of these guys. I do believe him when he says the market was insane, because Shane Bieber, I don't know if you saw what that was. They got the number 5 prospect from Toronto in the Shane Bieber deal. And Bieber hasn't even pitched in the bigs this year. And I know when Bieber's healthy and on, he's awesome. But if that was what it took to get Shane Bieber, who knows what these teams were asking for. There were multiple reports that the Twins and Nationals for Ryan and Gore wanted Matt Shaw, and the Cubs were like, yeah, that's not happening. And I don't blame him. I wouldn't trade Matt Shaw. He's finally starting to turn around. Why would you sell now?
So I'll say this. If you look at the Cubs prospects right now, number 1, Owen Casey, number 2, Moises Ballesteros, number 3, Jefferson Rojas. Those 3 names are very, very solid prospects that would have definitely been in a deal for a Mackenzie Gore or even an Edward Cabrera, and obviously a Joe Ryan. We can all agree on that. Kevin Alcantara does not have a spot on this roster in the next 2 to 3 years. He's our number 4 prospect. He could have absolutely gone. Jonathan Long does not have a spot on this roster. He could have absolutely gone. Pedro Ramirez, Ryan Gallagher. I know, did Ryan Gallagher get moved?
Yes, he went for, I believe it was the Willie Castro deal.
Okay. Brandon Birdsell is a name that I think will be an interesting watch here for the rest of the season. James Triantos at number 10 should have absolutely been a name that's gone. Jackson Wiggins is the one that I think people were sort of back and forth on, because obviously he's sort of this name right now that people are excited about. When will he appear? And so this just begs
AA.
So it begs the question is that Kyle Tucker is probably not coming back.
We would think.
So he's trying to hold on to everything he has to possibly make another move in the offseason that's a Kyle Tucker-like move, I guess, because he sure as hell ain't going to pay a $500 million player.
Although, to be fair, the way Tucker's played the last month, I wouldn't give that player, take the name away, I wouldn't give that guy $500 million either.
Understand, but whatever. Okay, so let's just say it's above $300 million. I don't see Jed giving out $300 million contract.
It'll probably still be 4 or 5. I'm just making the argument that in the last month he really has not earned that payday.
So I understand the idea of these prospects that we're overpaying for certain players. I just feel like there's multiple names on that list that will not see the light of day on a roster for the next 2 to 3 years, even if they're in AAA already, because 2026 that lineup is, or that outfield is going to be filled with Seiya, Happ, PCA, Owen Casey, and maybe another guy as well. Okay. And then 2027, who knows what's going to happen with that? It doesn't look good. So you're not going to see any of these guys. So that's why it's like, what is the price? I mean, are they asking for Matt Shaw as well? This is just, I'm just a little disappointed in the fact that like we couldn't bite the bullet on like a prospect that doesn't have a path to our team right now. And again, maybe other organizations just don't see these players as high as a, biased Cub fan or, the Cubs organization. Did that all make sense of what I just said?
1,000%. And the fact that, Cubs fans are higher on their prospects. Do you remember what they gave up for Eli Morgan? No one does. But everyone lost their mind. They gave up this guy? I don't even remember his name. I probably should know that, but I don't. Yep. But it's just, my whole issue was from the jump when they traded Cody Bellinger. It started there. You know what? No problem. We have more money. We'll reallocate that money. They didn't in spring. Don't worry. Now we'll have extra money for the trade deadline. Okay, fine. The team is good enough. They proved to you that they are good enough to win, make a deep postseason run, maybe even win the whole damn thing. They proved all of that, right? Yep, deadline's coming. Here we go. They're connected to all these big names. Fans are salivating. We want Joe Ryan. We want Mackenzie Gore. We want Cabrera. We want Alcantara. All these guys, right? And then in a vacuum, their bullpen, massive upgrade this weekend or today, or the last 24 hours. Willie Castro, we're going to talk about it. Really good addition. Soroka, in a vacuum, is fine. You probably overpaid. And whatever, that was the market. But that was your only starting pitching addition. And that's not his fault. But that's my biggest problem with today is we were fed by, and granted, some of it was media pushed, and who knows, maybe that was leverage, maybe, who knows how those go. But we were kind of fed since January, trade deadline. That will be the moment. We're going to add one of these impactful guys. We're going to make a run, and then boom, off to the races. And they didn't. And as much as I like Taylor Rogers, Kittredge, Castro, I was a little more lukewarm on Soroka, but fine addition in a vacuum. We were all preparing for more. It didn't happen. And now as fans, we sit here disappointed and like, well, what the hell's going to happen to our team? Especially because when you look at the upcoming starters, which we will also talk about at the end of the show, Ben Brown is starting on Saturday. And he was fine his last time out, but we were hoping that Ben Brown would go to the bullpen and have an impact there or be in AAA and figure it out, and then we'll see you next year. Colin Ray, okay, he can go back to swingman. We'll have Joe Ryan in his place. And it just didn't happen. Some of it just is product of circumstance. Prices were too high. All right, I get that. But look what the Padres didn't care. Preller just gave up their whole farm for Mason Miller and JP Sears. It takes capital to get impact talent. And this team, while they have a lot of talent, they needed impact talent in the starting rotation. And now are they going to say, oh, we'll take care of it in winter? Well, the Cubs are good enough right now. Why do the fans and the team and those guys in that locker room, why do they have to wait till winter? Especially because there are no guarantees that this group that works is going to be the same. Without Kyle Tucker, we had 2 full seasons of it. They're an 83-win team. Shout out Sam Olver for making that observation. If not now, when? Well, they didn't do now, so when? That's my biggest issue with today. And again, I like these moves in a vacuum.
Literally a great deadline, except just not focusing on and making something happen in that starting rotation side of things. Yeah. And I get it. The rentals, okay. If you want to say that the asking price was so high and that, it just didn't make sense, right? Next year, you're fine because you have Steele coming back, which who knows what that's going to look like. Imanaga, Tyone, Cade Horton, Brandon Birdsell, blanking on some other names. I'm so lost right now, guys, with just all this because it's multiple GMs are saying that the asking price was too high. We just need a guy for call it 9 to 10 more starts.
That's exactly what Matt Cozy said on our show. It was like, but if you get someone controllable, then you at least have him. But otherwise, you're paying for 9 starts.
So I don't know, man. I don't know. No, I'm trying to stay rational. I'm trying to look at this and say, well, it's because of this, and this. And I'm going, but we don't have anything for the playoffs.
Which is that's the whole thing. That's all this year has been about. Win the division, get to the playoffs.
I get that probably, when Jed talked on Northside Territory about when they got Cole Hamels, right? And what that looked like and getting Justin Verlander or trying to get Justin Verlander when he was having a down year and then turned into obviously a superstar arm on the mound. I understand that you're probably trying to find those little diamonds in the rough, right? it's just hard for me to sit here right now and say and put expectations on a guy like Soroka to be that, which is unrealistic, and I won't do it.
Yeah.
If he pans out and becomes this 2-3, holy smokes, I'm going to take everything back I said about Jed.
Sure.
I just don't see that happening. I just don't. I just don't. And so, again, maybe there's some changes they will make, but I am just not going to look through, what is it, glass, what do they say?
Rose-colored
glasses. Rose-colored glasses. And try to look at this and be positive. It's really hard for me to right now because I understand my team is really good. Like, I understand that. Like, we would not be in the position we are if we weren't really good. Like, I should be appreciative of the fact that we're pretty good. But then I go to Wrigley Field, and the ballpark that I go to is basically Disney World on steroids.
Yeah.
And ticket prices are the way they are. Beers cost the amount of money that they do. Food costs this. Tickets cost this. Parking, all these things. And they sell out the stadium and they do everything they do. And then they don't buy like a big market team.
Yeah.
But then there's the side of it where it's like, oh, well, there wasn't anything available. And it's like, Jed, can you just like, can everybody in that front office? I'm being emotional here, but by the way, folks, so like this is an irrational thought. Like, can you all just sit there and be like, man, like, how about this one time? How about this one time we show the league what we got, right? Yeah, we probably might regret some of these prospects being gone. Yes, the projections for Owen, Casey, and some of these names. Again, I'm being emotional, folks, so I might be going off the rails a little bit. But there is this side of me where I'm like, don't you just want to be like, we're the Chicago bleeping Cubs? And we deserve. They haven't. I'm sorry, they haven't. Kyle Tucker was the move. Okay, great move. You gave away Cam Smith, but smart Cub fans understand that it's basically actually a financial savings when you look at it based on the move that they made of eliminating Cody Bellinger and then getting Kyle Tucker.
Yeah.
Just saying. No, it wasn't like we went above that, right? So where's the move that goes above that? And I'm sitting here right now going, I needed a little bit more. I just needed a little bit more. And I think, and I'll say one last thing because I know we're going on too long here. I apologize. I'm going to guess Jed's disappointed a little bit in himself too. But when he got that contract extension, that just brought a lot of fear into me that things were just not going to go in a direction that was going to feel like this is it type of opportunity. And they think that they can just have sustainable success for the next probably 5 to 10 years, which is a great model to have. But you are not set up right now to do well in the playoffs at that starting rotation. And I will stand on that hill until the end of the season. I'm sorry. I won't feel bad for this team or this organization when they make the playoffs, which, they likely will. I will not feel bad for anybody in that organization when we do not have success in the playoffs. And I'm just being straight up honest, guys. I'm trying to be real here. I'm trying not to be too emotional. Sorry, buddy. Sorry.
No apologies needed, because I think you just voiced everything that everyone, including myself, I know I've tried to play the other side here and do like glass half full stuff.
Me too. I'm trying. I'm trying. I just don't see it.
That's the problem, because now, being all things equal, where you're at today, you go into the playoffs. Let's say they get a wild card. Let's say the Brewers run away with this thing. Let's just focus on the wild card. They don't get the bye. Wild card it is. That's a 3-gamer. So we know Boyd and Imanaga are going to be 1-2.
Yep.
You're really going to put, and assuming you win one of those games, everything's going to come down to either Assad, Cade Horton, or Jameson Taillon. Do you like your shots there? Now with Cade's been unbelievable. I was going to save this for when we do the series look ahead against Baltimore, but in his last 7 starts, 4 of them have been shutouts. Cade's been awesome.
He's been great. And I would say that he is like the only little silver lining in that rotation right now where you're going, he does step up in big moments.
Yeah.
But again,
you're asking a rookie in the playoffs to, hey, Cade, please save us. When he's also coming off an injury from last year. We didn't even mention that part. And they're going to throw him to the wheels fall off, it sounds like, which, cool. I like that we have a young starter who's really darn good. He's getting this experience in a division chase. Like, that's all great. But at the end of the day, we get to game 3, and we're looking around. It's like, all right, go get him, Cade. Against, you mentioned, Glass now. Ohtani, if he's back to normal. Mizorowski, Woodruff. Like, that's a lot to ask of your young pitcher. And even if it's Tyone, let's say it's not Cade and it's Tyone. Do you feel great? I sure as hell don't. And Assad, we know what he gives. It's about 5 innings, 3 earned almost every single time he takes the mound, which is fine. It's solid. But in the playoffs, you want something more. And that's going to be the word of the day, more. So ultimately, yes, I'm a little disappointed. But let's talk about some of these moves in a vacuum.
I definitely want to. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked a lot about Soroka, but let's just dive in just a touch deeper before we get to the other guys. So on the year, Soroka's 3-8 with a 4.87 ERA and 81 1/3 innings pitched. The biggest thing with him is that his velocity from April he was touching 95 and getting results. Now his velocity is dipped all the way down to 91 on his average fastball. That is a massive difference. And I tried to look, I'm like, okay, maybe he's got a home road split thing that the Cubs see. Well, actually, he's been worse on away from Nationals Park. In Washington, he's 1-5 with a 4.54 ERA, which still isn't great. But on the road away from the nation's capital, he's 2-3 with a 5.15 ERA. Not great. Now, if the wind's blowing in at Wrigley, he might look like Clayton Kershaw in the mid 2010s. Who knows? But again, we already kind of touched on this. The Cubs might see him as a swing guy, which again, and they've had credit to them. They've had success with these guys. Colin Ray, success story. Brad Keller, success story. Pomerantz, up until the last couple outings, success story. So they've done it before, and there's also been some whispers that Zombro sees something he can fix. And Jed Hoyer actually, before we recorded, said that they've liked Soroka for a while now. Okay. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think we're both disappointed. But do you have any strong takes on Soroka? The fact that you're rubbing your eyes says no.
I mean, look, I sincerely mean this. All we need out of him is like just getting us through that, like probably that 4th to 5th inning mark. They're probably going to do some openers with him as well. Maybe that's something that they can look at.
Sure.
I haven't looked at those numbers to say, like, let's do that quick. Like, what is his? Do you have his splits up right now?
I have to make sure. Yes. So
yes. Okay. How's he doing? Like first time, second time, third time through the lineup?
Let me try and find that. Shoot, I can't find that. This is why we didn't do this live. But anyway, I will continue to work on that potentially.
Okay, I'm going to multitask here while I'm doing this. So
okay.
If we're looking at this and saying, okay, so let's see here. So Michael Soroka splits. Let's look. So, okay. First time facing the game. Okay. This is intriguing. So first time facing a game, 566 OPS. Second time facing a game, 697 OPS. Third time facing the game, 1041 OPS.
So it's
okay. So time. I'm glad I actually guessed that. By the way, folks, I did not look at that beforehand. I simply guessed that we probably either needed to do an opener or look at that where he just needs to get through the 4th or 5th inning mark. So that's at least intriguing. Yeah, we're trying to find positives here, folks, because you know, Jed's probably walking around being like, guys, hey, we got something. We won something on the margins. No, but
it's so stupid that we as Cub fans have to worry about goddamn coupon cutting.
This is, yeah, dude. No, I mean, the Taco Bell comment that Kyle made going to Cabo was all time. And you know, he sat there this morning as he was feeding his beautiful son. He's just like, I feel like the Cubs are going to Cabo and eating Taco Bell.
Oh, he's had that one in the chamber for a while.
He's had that one in the chamber probably for a couple of weeks. So that's dad thoughts, sponsored by Kyle Stanley. So I'm trying again. There's these little positives here and there. It's just, what changes will they make? If I'm thinking rationally here, what changes will they make? And I've seen some things online that say, okay, they're going to do this and this and this with his cutter, sweeper, all that. I'm not the guy to come to talk about that or try and discuss those things. So those are the little things that maybe the organization is looking at and saying, this is how we can get the most out of this arm that we have, is based on maybe changing his certain pitch patterns or this or that. So yes, I really hope he proves me wrong. I hope that he just does enough for us. And this gets me out of having to watch Ben Brown pitch a little bit, which is awesome. But then now you just said he's pitching on Saturday. I have a headache.
So let's talk about one of the more positive ads. And again,
yes,
I want to emphasize,
yes, let's get this done with.
yeah. I want to emphasize again too, Setup Nation. It's not Soroka's fault. He is what he is. Blame the organization if you don't like that move. Okay, moving on. This is actually the run of the moves I did like. Andrew Kittredge, 35-year-old right-handed reliever. On the season, he's 2-2 with a 3.45 ERA and 31 and a third innings pitch. And in the month of July, he's been awesome. 14 and a third innings pitch, a 1.88 ERA. He's only given up 3 earned runs on the month, and two of which were home runs. So really, that would be the only concern. But as we know, Wrigley apparently is really hard to hit a home run in, so he fits perfectly with that bullpen. And he's really good against right-handed batters. Batters that are on the right-hand side are only batting a .175 with a 242 on base. Lefties, a little bit more of an issue. He's 267 batting average and a 297 on base. Doesn't walk a ton of guys, is averaging a strikeout per inning. This is a guy that, when I woke up this morning and saw it, I'm like, oh, solid. He's not going to blow you away. He's not going to knock your socks off. But he is an upgrade over Krisky, Hollowell, Presley, who we're going to talk about in a little bit as there's news there. But overall, I like the Kittredge edition.
So just talking about Kittredge, not the next one, right?
We'll just go one by one. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll say this. So I'm just going to make my point for both Rogers and Kittredge, just because I think it ties in all together. And then I'll let you bring up Rogers, right? I'm just going to talk about the bullpen in general. So over the last, I would say, month and a half, there have been some players that on this in this bullpen that have really dipped off, right?
Yeah.
Number one, Ryan Presley. I know we'll talk about him in a little bit. Boom. Drew Pomeranz is looking human. The addition of another lefty kind of makes me think his days are probably numbered. Okay. Boom. They found a replacement for him. Chris Flexen, the extra innings hero, right?
He go.
So 3 names, right, in that bullpen that were really, really starting to dip down. And when you say Ryan Stressley, it got more stressful as the year went on, because at the beginning it was awful. Then he kind of figured it out, and unfortunately just, wish we had him like he was back in the day in Houston. That would have been electric. He wasn't. The Cubs have been urgent about those moves. So the 3 sort of for sure names in the bullpen that have been absolute dynamite the entire year is Daniel Palencia, Brad Keller, and Caleb Thielbar. Those really were the only arms up to this deadline that were like, okay, surefire, we're fine. The rest of it is a little bleak. So I was thrilled to see them make the moves necessary to get 2 veteran arms that can really improve this team, because the team bullpen ERA was like 5th lowest. Now it's like middle of the pack at like 3.86, according to, I think it's covers.com. I apologize. What is this? Yeah, covers.com, 3.86. And so that really has dipped. So seeing them make those 2 moves to improve the bullpen was very intriguing to hear. And so I'm excited to hear you talk about Taylor Rogers as well. You said all the great things about Kittredge. I don't want to touch any more on that because that's a really good, valuable information. I'll turn it over to you for Rogers.
Yeah, and Rogers, another guy. In a vacuum, look, we can sit and say this deadline was disappointing because really they had a shopping list. They need bullpen help, they need a starter, and they need a bench bat. Well, they got 3 of those 4 things, but instead of getting potatoes, they got, I don't even know what you want to call it, a marshmallow? They got something that didn't really, it doesn't make sense. I'm losing my mind. Taylor Rogers, 34-year-old lefty who's had quite the week because he went. I'm sorry, Ty. I've been talking so much today. I'm starting to lose it, so we got to wrap this up.
Keep it going, dude. Just
Yep.
go.
Taylor Rogers this week went from Cincinnati to Pittsburgh in the Key Brian Hayes deal. Ultimately lands with the Cubs. And the corresponding move for Taylor Rogers is Ryan Presley DFA'd. He gone. Which I wasn't totally surprised by because he really had 2 months where he was lights out, really good. But the last couple outings, you see the cracks starting to form again. He's giving up long balls. He's giving up hard contact, not getting any swing and miss. So Ryan Presley no longer a Cub, but Taylor Rogers isn't on the season. He's 2-2 with a 2.45 ERA and 33 innings pitched. He is pretty darn good against left-handed batters. Batters only have a 228 batting average, a 380 on base, which I looked into. I'm like, ooh, that's kind of high. He did have struggles with walks earlier in the season. So on the season, he's got 19 walks total, but only 4 in the last month. So those walk issues seem to be kind of correcting themselves. So that would be the one issue I do have with Rogers. But lefty, as you said, could potentially be a Pomerantz replacement once some of these guys start getting healthy. Amaya's not that far away. Tyone, Assad. Some of these guys are going to kind of force the hand of, okay, Pomerantz needs to go or whoever. Also, quick sidebar. You had mentioned the 3 best relievers were Palencia, Thielbar, and Keller. I just want to point out, Palencia was a lottery ticket in the Andrew Chafin deal way back in the day. Keller was a non-roster invitee, as was Thielbar. Crazy. Just crazy.
And last thing I'll leave it at before we turn it over to Castro. Obviously, Palencia is with the team in 2026, and I believe a few more years after that. But Keller's a free agent next year. Obviously, Thielbar's a free agent. Taylor Rogers is a free agent. Drew Pomeranz is a free agent. Kittredge is a $9 million club option. So it's going to be like this for a while with the Tread Athletics and Tyler Zombro effect and, the analytical side of things, trying to just find these sort of, like I said, I say this all the time with Jed, is that he tries to find these diamonds in a rough. I will give him credit. He's done a great job with those moves. The one move that sucked was the Presley move. Unfortunately, he had moments this year that were good and moments that really frustrated you and made you go, why in the world, especially when he had that San Francisco outing. So wish him the best. It's just, I'm sorry, man, you're on a team right now that is desperate to find wins. Well, I thought they were desperate. They would have gotten somebody in the starting rotation if that was the case. But it seems like they want to just have a solid bullpen. And look, there's some teams, some of the bullpens now. Teams. So I'm trying to take this team seriously. I really, really am. And they've done a great job on the margins. It's just maybe it's the name effect with some of these other teams that have some of these guys. But dear Lord, did Padres, Mets, Yankees. I mean, holy smokes. Now, hey, I saw this tweet. Shout out Roho Cube.
Oh, our guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He tweeted that the Brewers at least didn't do anything.
5 minutes after, they got Shelby Miller and Jordan Montgomery.
No. Oh, really?
Jordan Montgomery was a part of that deal, yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, I just thought that was pretty funny. But either way, their bullpen is absolutely nasty, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah. They didn't really have to. Honestly, they didn't really have to do much comparatively to the team that we like to call our team. So
yeah. Well, you point out all these bullpens. Maybe once they saw the price of these starters, and once they got to, let's say, 1:00 Central today, maybe they're like, all right, here's the play. We're just going to build a really, really awesome bullpen. That way, if Assad, is Assad and it's 5 innings, 3 earned runs, well, guess what? Now you have options where Rogers can come in the 6th or Kittredge or vice versa, 6th, 7th, and then 8, 9, you're good. You know what you're getting. Maybe that's the play. And maybe that's the glass half full spin, but yeah, Taylor Rogers, I was really excited about when that broke. If you watch, which the live stream is still up on YouTube, go watch that if you are bored tonight because that was a lot of fun. All right, we need to talk about our last guy because we are running a little longer than I thought we would. Willie Castro, super utility man from the Minnesota Twins, was acquired today. Corresponding move is Miguel Amaya, even though don't freak out. He was transferred to the 60-day IL. He's going to be back probably within the week. I don't have any knowledge of that, but he's been playing. He's been taking at bats. Amaya's close. 60-day just basically gives them a 40-man spot to put Willie Castro on the big league squad. So Once Amaya is good and comes back, they'll have to make another move. But for now, temporary solution. Anyway, Willie Castro. The cool thing about Willie Castro is he plays absolutely every position except first base, catcher, and pitcher. So you talk about super utility. He plays every position on the season. He's only hitting 245, 10 homers, 27 RBIs, and a 335 on base. He was an all-star in 2023, and he hits lefties extremely well. On the season, he's got a 132 WRC plus. He's batting 278 batting average, a 337 on base, and a 500 slug against left-handed pitching. However, since June 27th, and I mentioned this on our live show too, since June 27th, he's only batting a $178 on base of 278, and he's only slugging 317, which pretty bad. Pretty bad. The argument I would make is kind of the generic back of the baseball card. I mean, he was an all-star in 23. Like, this is a really solid player who gives you insurance at literally every position, and now you don't have to rely on John Birdie. John Birdie can kind of slide back into the Brujan role where he can just kind of be there and pinch run if need be. And Castro can go out, hey, Shaw needs a day. Well, now you don't have to worry about Birdie or Brujan. It's Willie Castro who can do that. PCA, hey, you need a breather? Guess what? We got a backup center fielder. Willie Castro, go get him. This was a move I was on for a while now. I didn't realize how bad his July was. But he's a really solid add to a bench that, let's face it, was just downright horrible. So this was, honestly, of the day, I think the Willie Castro move was my favorite move of the day. For the Cubs.
Really? Wow.
Truthfully, Rogers was awesome. I really like that move. I really like the Kitchers move. But just because of how bad the bench was and the fact that this guy can literally play everywhere except first catch and pitch, which you're set at those positions anyway. I really thought, for what they gave up, they didn't give up a ton. Ryan Gallagher, top 10 prospect. Okay, that might be a little bit of an overpay. And one thing we should also point out, too, that we forgot to mention, all of these guys are rentals. None of them, unless they re-sign in the winter, will be here next year, which I think is important to note. But I thought of all the moves, this was the guy I was most excited for today.
Interesting. I would say, yes, I could totally see that side of it. I also really enjoyed them call it either move in the bullpen just because of, where things were possibly going in that department with Presley struggling so much and Pomeranz struggling. And obviously they removed Flexen. So I could see both sides, obviously. Look, it's going to be interesting now. Where is he used? How does Craig see fit with him? Because realistically, with like a left-handed lineup, you're going to have Horner, Seiya, Tucker, PCA, Swanson, Kelly Amaya, Ian Happ now. Michael Busch is still going to play first. Castro doesn't play first, and then Shaw or Castro. So I think it takes a little less pressure off of Shaw. But there's also the side of it now where he's not going to probably play every single day, which I think he was starting to sort of get into the groove of doing. So, look, I'm not mad about it whatsoever. I'm not here. Hopefully my tone didn't say that. It's a better bench piece than anything we had, especially with Vidal Brujan and then John Birdie, like you said. It's much better, especially over at third base, especially with the fact that Justin Turner he just can't play third base and he's got to be that first base option. With a lefty-righty matchup at Busch is just not favorable. So overall, solid move. Glad they improved the bench. You said it beautifully about all the numbers. Did a great job on all the numbers and data on the show. You did a great job. I was sitting there being like, I gotta have this, I gotta have that, I gotta have a lineup written, and you just did a great job. So I think I'm just fascinated to see how they use Castro. It's gonna be interesting. But again, I think just the dark cloud over the organization right now of the starting pitching thing of not getting the stud is really what's going to hinder the viewpoint on a lot of these ads because they are solid ads. It's just one move away, and it is what it is.
I've probably said it. I probably sound like a broken record at this point. These moves in a vacuum, solid. Soroka, again, I'm not the highest on Soroka. I haven't been. We didn't even really talk about him on this show. But in a vacuum, fine. He's pitching depth, and you can always use that come August, September, October. Fine. That's a totally fine ad. Even if he's a bullpen piece and you can get his velocity back up, it is a totally fine ad. But you had a shopping list. You got 3 out of the 4 things, but the 4th thing was the most important thing. And that's what's going to just darken and muddy everyone's vision on this deadline. Because, again, these moves, the bullpen got a whole lot better today. The bench, you got rid of Brujan and added Willie Castro, who's had a terrible July, but overall, that is a massive upgrade. Massive. Because at this point, Vidal Brujan was dead weight. Sorry to say it, he was bad. It's just...
I think that's all we got, dude. I think that's all we got.
I know.
Like the video, please throw us a like, everyone. We really appreciate it. It helps us out with all our stuff, because hopefully that you found a lot of this insight very valuable, and hopefully didn't feel like it was too negative with what happened today. We try to do our best, but Alex, I guess
we got to talk Baltimore real quick. So Baltimore is coming in starting tomorrow. We're going to zoom through this because Baltimore traded half their roster. They have not announced a single starter for the series. So this is going to be real quick. Just to fill that gap in, the Orioles traded away Andrew Kittredge to us. Ryan O'Hearn, who was their all-star, he's now in Texas. Cedric Mullins is a Met. Charlie Morton's a Detroit Tiger. And Sir Anthony Dominguez, who is a linked Cubs target, is now a Toronto Blue Jay. So half of their team is gone. They have not announced a single starting pitcher, but the Cubs have. And we're going to start post-deadline with Cade Horton, who's 4-3. And again, like I said, for his last 7 starts, 4 of them have been scoreless. He's been pretty dynamite. Game 2, it'll be Ben Brown, who, to his credit, was better his last time out, but on the season 5-7 with a 6.22 ERA. And game 3 on Sunday will be Matthew Boyd, looking to bounce back after his rough start in Milwaukee. 11-4 in the season, a 2.47 ERA. Tie 2 out of 3 is the bare minimum, especially with this team that just sold off all of their pieces outside of Gunnar Henderson, and Adley Rutschman. They don't have a ton. So 2 out of 3 is the minimum for me. What say you?
Yeah.
All right, that's the podcast.
Here, I'll just say this. One, Ryan O'Hearn went to the Padres. Just wanted to clear that up. I know you have a lot of...
I think I've said Texas twice. Thank you for the correction.
You just have so many trades going on in your head right now. Look, Ben Brown needs to show up this weekend, and that is very clear here. Like, we 2 out of 3, anything beyond that is unacceptable, because obviously this team wants to quote unquote be good. You better beat their brains in. I'm just being honest. Like, they need to go out there. Like, Cade Horton against, looks like Rogers, Ben versus Sagana.
So did they announce it now?
It's just out? So Sunday against Boyd is not announced, but Sagano is on Saturday, and Rogers, Rogers actually has had a decent year. He's a left-handed starter. He's a left-handed starter, so maybe we see Castro out there. Sagano, here up and down. Look, the Orioles, they're a completely different team. They probably have no culture in the clubhouse now at this point, because it's just like so all over the place. They have Adley and Gunnar, which is still some threats in the lineup, but Adley's had a down year. Gunnar's had a down year. Yeah. So I guess my takeaway is that just go out there and beat their brains in, because like Chicago needs it. like Chicago. Hey, I'll say this. At the end of the day, what cures everything, Mr. Brault?
Winning.
And I'll leave it at that.
And that's where we're going to leave you. On your way out the door, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for us. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that little bell so you get all of the fun content that we're pumping out. Audio-only listeners, do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, do us another favor and leave a 5-star review and help us out there. Again, quick shout-out to Setup Man Nation for showing up strong this afternoon for our live show. 1,100 was just an absurd number. And
insane.
It's seriously, sincerely crazy, and we are not. We can't be any more grateful. And if you're watching this, thank you. Make sure you do all of the chorin that we've tasked you with. But Ty and I'm going to go ice my voice box. I've been talking for like 4 hours straight. So we will see you all on Sunday night when we recap Cubs Baltimore, and hopefully we get to see a few of these new acquisitions that they made. So until then, we'll see you Sunday. Let's go, Cubbies.